Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano wetugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba masanyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Dig Talk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Uganda. Good morning, Africa and the world as a whole. My name is Tulyahabwe. You're welcome today to the Mighty Drive. The date today is 22nd. Yeah, we're coming to Christmas. Everyone is about what is going on. You know, most of people are running away not running away. They are going back home to their villages, of course, to enjoy. You know, this is a season that is always best enjoyed when you have a family around. So for those who are going home, those who are going to their villages, we wish you a safe journey. We thank you that you're still with us, even wherever you are. That's a beauty about the Alternative Dig Talk. It's not that you have to stay glued in front of your screen to be able to catch up with everything that's going on around the world. You can be with us wherever you are. You just need your phone, you tap in, check our Facebook page, the Alternative Uganda, and you'll be following everything as it happens by the time. So I thank you again for being with us. My name again is Tulyahabwe. I'm doing the updates today because my brother Edgar Matthew Karanga has had a few, health glitches here and there. But he'll be fine. He needs your prayers, and then he'll be back on foot. He's a strong guy. He'll be up. Today, I want to go through a little bit of updates, what is happening around the world. Yesterday, I think Cabinet, State Minister for PHC said that every person who is not vaccinated should be banned from public places. That includes churches, I think hospitals, and places like those, places that convene a lot of people. So if you know you're not vaccinated, chances are you're not even going to go to the church. That's the funny part, because now we are going to Christmas. Most of us are going to be in worship places because, we need to glorify. We want to thank God for the life He has given us for this far. But you cannot even go to church because you're not vaccinated. So that is what has happened. Cabinet passed the guidelines yesterday, and they are banning every person who's not vaccinated to be able to be in these kind of public places. So here's the thing. you can either get vaccinated or forget about going to church on Christmas. So I think we have the solution right now. The other day, I think about 2 weeks ago, we were talking about whether vaccination should be made mandatory so that every person can get vaccinated, so that even those who are skeptical about probably the side effects and here and there, of course, a lot of people have had their theories on what those vaccines could be bringing about, and even whether they are even, good enough to be vaccinated to be vaccines. Because some people are even saying, even doctors themselves, that these are test medicines. They are trying to see if it can actually cure COVID-19. So they are not officially, fit for that vaccination. That's what theory some people say. But here is the thing, it's now becoming mandatory for everyone to take up that jab. So go to a nearest health center, take that jab. Even some churches nowadays, they even host those vaccination points. Watoto a few weeks ago was hosting one there. It did another downtown. I saw some church in, I think this side of Makinde, they were also giving the vaccinations at the church. So go around, look around, make sure you find a vaccination point, get that jab, or else if you don't have a vaccination card, there are places you're not going to be accessing. Yesterday, same day we saw police in Fort Portal blocking people who are not vaccinated, who didn't have vaccination cards, from accessing the city. The same has been allegedly happening in Kasese, that every person who's coming probably from Kampala cannot access those cities unless you have a vaccination point. So chances are, since now it's becoming a policy and a guideline, that if you do not have a vaccination card, if you're not vaccinated, you're not going to go to certain places. Now, if the cities are going to be blocked, the public places are also going to be blocked, what are you going to be doing? So the solution is simple. Go out, look for that vaccination point, make sure you are vaccinated, get that vaccination card, and make sure you're always with it wherever you go. You don't want to be antagonized, you don't want to have something serious going on and then they stop you midway because you don't have a vaccination point. So as you can see that video on the screen, that is what was happening. The buses were stopped along, the road that was going to Fort Portal City. Every bus was checked. Every person must have had a vaccination card to be able to access. Or the good alternative they provided, which I appreciate as an individual, is that if you are not vaccinated, there was a vaccination point around that same area. So you could just get the jab, get your card, and then access the city. Not that they would turn you away. So those who have your theories, you can keep them for now because, there are a lot of people's lives that are dependent on yours. There are some places, villages that are not yet, have had those vaccination points. So you're going probably with vaccine from here, the virus from this side and then taking it to the village and, spreading it to the other family members. It's only safe that you vaccinate. You don't lose anything either way. Whether you have vaccine, COVID or you don't have, just vaccinate to avoid those shortcomings. So anyway, eventually, you're not going to be accessing certain places unless you're vaccinated. Yeah, that was happened yesterday. In other news, the government recalled the loan request to build oil roads. Government had requested to get a loan close to 96 million euros, and it decided to look for the money entirely. Our debt right now stands at about 70.3 trillion. That is the debt that we have as a country. And then we have a GDP that is close to, I think, 49 trillion Uganda shillings. So you see that we're working in deficit. So I think the government thought about the fact that, increasing external debt is going to be much more hard to pay. So they are resorting to looking for money internally. I also don't know how that affects the lending procedures. Because now if you have the central bank that is regulating the commercial banks, and then the central bank is going to the commercial bank to borrow the money, I don't know how that is going to affect the interest rates that are going to be whatever going on as they have to pay back. So yes, that is what happened. They said, looking for money externally is exhausting. It's also a sign of, the country is not doing so good and the economy could actually be taken. We have seen a few economies in Africa that have been taken by a few European countries and maybe Asian, with some ministries being overtaken or some institutions being overtaken by those because of failure to pay debts. So chances are, because where we stand with the debts is in a position that we may not be able to adequately, pay back, especially in time. So I think the move to look for money internally to be able to raise it, to build this kind of roads, is so that those interests from the outside countries are so extreme that it might be hard for us to pay. And of course, in the time period that is requested to be paid. And maybe for once we are trying to prioritize, the country is prioritizing what is important. It's also necessary that the country looks at what we can do and what we should be doing as opposed to what we should be done. You know, it's here, we want just everything to be done, but it's important that we know the priorities. There are a lot of things that I always want to, should be done, but you know, priorities also matter at the end of the day. So that is what happened. In Tanzania, over 50 MPs test positive for COVID-19. In Tanzania. Now, Tanzania is a country where in the last two COVID waves, they have said they have not had COVID. In fact, for anything, they've never had a lockdown. They've not had curfews, lockdown, whatever. That has not happened in Tanzania. So the president said that, you see, I think it was Magufuli before late Magufuli now, he said that, you know, it is God who saves us from this kind of thing, so we shall not go to lockdown because that's not going to provide any kind of solution. So now their MPs, 50 of them, have COVID-19 positive, of course, the Omicron variant, the new one that is happening right now. 38 were discovered in Tanzania, but they are quarantined at their homes. And, you know, majority of them are being quarantined right now. So I think now Tanzania is time for them to also realize that, as you know, as God works, you also need to work. Lockdown wasn't so that countries weren't really interested in locking their countries' economies down. The economies around the world are crumbling because of the lockdowns of the COVID-19. So Tanzania said, you know, we are not locking down. No, it's not happening. And now they have those people. Of course, if the MPs are catching that much, obviously there are untold stories of a lot of people who are probably getting COVID positive, or others who don't even know they have COVID, and that means they are spreading it even more. So that is what happened in Tanzania, and I hope that they also make vaccination mandatory. I think the same for Uganda, that banning people from public places so that it becomes mandatory for everyone to be vaccinated. That's an indirect way of saying it. You have to get vaccinated or you're not going to access some of the services. So unless you do that. Yeah, that is what's happening in Tanzania. In the US, President Biden requested the population to vaccinate against COVID-19. Of course, now about 70% of you know, the outbreaks are Omicron variants that are happening in the United States. So Mr. President Joe Biden was informing the Americans that, you see, this this virus has, you know, ravaged this country, especially in the last two waves of COVID-19. Now that the Omicron is coming and it's far more powerful than the other ones, he's saying that, look, guys, we need to vaccinate because moving forward, this thing is going to affect us. It's affecting our economies. It's our children. It's our fathers and parents and brothers and relatives who are going to be succumbing to this kind of, you know, diseases and variants that are going to be coming. There are some people who have been saying that, you see, every time we find a little bit of a solution for COVID, it goes back to the gym, looks for another you know, approach, and it comes back full force. So since that is happening, and you know, the future is not guaranteed, we don't know, we can't project what is happening. The medicine has not been found for COVID. He's marshalling all the Americans, is making the Americans get the vaccinations so that we are able to move past that, whatever, that variant and the virus as a whole. Of course, this call shouldn't just be to the Americans. I want to extend the same to everyone around the world. Because you see, it's better, you know, when you're prepared. There's like a saying that you either get prepared for an opportunity other than have an opportunity finding you unprepared. So instead of having the COVID-19 ravaging us, you know, it's better that we vaccinate. It's two-way. Either the vaccine is probably not working, or it's even working. Either way, we don't lose anything because we have not had any serious side effects. So you can vaccinate. If it works, well and good. If it does not, we shall find another solution, but at least there's some mitigation measure that is happening. So I think the call should be global. I extended the same to Ugandans now that they're banning people from public places, that you go and vaccinate. It's for your own good. It's for your family's sake that all of you are safe. You don't want to lose a family relative to COVID-19 when there's something you can do. Yeah? Take that jab. It's not costing you anything. You're not paying any amount of money. So just go to any vaccination point and vaccinate. And let's fight this together. Moving forward, Libyan elections are set to be postponed. They were due to take place on the 24th of this month, which is about 2 days from now. But the chairman of the Electoral Commission of Libya, apparently there was a letter that was postponing those elections that leaked. I think they had not, let it out officially to the public. So that paper leaks, but of course officials have shied away from commenting on that issue. But the elections, apparently, because that chairman of the Electoral Commission told all those poll attendants, those those polling stations, those who should be working on this, because as it comes close, of course, there are those people identified who are going to be at the polling stations. They were asked to go back to do their business, and they'll probably be called. So they have not yet communicated when these elections are going to be happening, the presidential elections, but apparently it's not going to be happening. And of course, there are demonstrations and processes as to why this is happening, because they have not provided a general reason why the elections are being postponed. But that is what is happening in Libya, and the president has also not commented on the same. So, Libyan people are in the darkness as to when those elections are actually going to be happening. Yes, that is what's happening in Libya. And then, yesterday we had a press conference by Dr. Kizza Besigye, and the PFT front at Katonga Road. And among the things he talked about, especially addressing them to the president and the government as a whole, is that especially he talked about schools opening, and he said that it's only possible for schools to be opened if there are funds set aside for those schools, both private and public institutions, schools to be specific. He said, schools have been in lockdown for the last 2 years. People have resorted to a number of different businesses that, are not putting forward those institutions, and people don't have money generally. So schools cannot run unless they have some kind of funding that should be provided. So Dr. Kizza Besigye was calling upon the government to provide some little bit of funds to those schools to be able to reopen officially. And of course, he was against the fact that 2 years are going to be in the same class. There is senior 1. Okay, he said there are those who are in senior 1 who had not finished, they are going to senior 2. And there are those who had finished P7 going to senior 1. Now they are going to senior 2. So he was also calling upon the government to increase the salary of teachers, because now they are going to be working twice as hard. You have people, senior 4 candidates who are now going to be senior 6 candidates without doing senior 5, and there are those who are in senior 5 are going to be doing senior 6. So those teachers are going to be teaching those students for 2 years in one. Because someone is in senior 6, they have to study in senior 5 because there's a syllabus. The examination covers senior 5, the end of senior 6 covers senior 5 and senior 6, the syllabus covers 2 years. Now they have 1 year to teach those 2 years, to cover syllabuses that are for 2 years, to be able to be examined to pass senior 6. So he says that since those teachers are going to be working twice as hard, their salaries will be increased. And maybe to also increase on the motivation, because you've seen most of the teachers moving away. Others have gone to borders, others, they are in chapati businesses nowadays. Everyone has found another way of living, because, the education institution has been affected greatly by COVID-19 and the lockdown as a whole. So the gentleman was also addressing that, and a number of other issues, really, which you can also catch up with, because we were streaming that event live. So it's on our YouTube channel, it's on our Facebook page. You can go there and get the whole statement as he put out. And I can't forget to mention the fact that he put out the imagery of the work of Jesus Christ. He said Jesus Christ was living in times of harassment and struggle. But right now, the followers he has are in billions of people, the people who follow Jesus Christ. And so he said, you don't relent from doing that which you think is a good cause. When you stand up for the good of the people and for the common cause that is, promoting the well-being of the people as a whole, you don't relent because you are facing torture and oppression along the way. You have to you have to fight on, you keep pressing. And I think that was going out generally for Ugandans who feel like, the struggle is not moving. We want, the hashtag of removing a dictator. It has been just a hashtag. Nothing is actually happening. The dictator is not moving. If anything, it's probably becoming more powerful. So he's saying that, you don't lose hope. You don't lose focus. You fight on. You keep it going. The gentleman has demonstrated the same. Kizza Besigye has been on the streets for quite long. I think longer than any opposition leader. He has been persistent. He has fought for, that democracy, as he calls, and he's still fighting, of course. Of course, he brings new tactics. They don't work. He brings others. He finds ways of making things happen. So he said, as we go for Christmas season, let's look out, let's do that which we think is a good cause. You don't shy away from doing the right thing, because even Jesus Christ himself, amidst that oppression, did not back down. And right now he's one of the people with most of the followers around the world. So that was his call, his message to the people as they broke out for Christmas. Now on the same day, Chairman Mao was also having a press conference in the Democratic Party. His message was basically about him and Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the principal of the National Unity Platform. So he was mentioning the fact that, he, in the beginning, he nearly got Honorable Kyagulanyi in the DP, and then the milk card politicians were all over their shoulders, and they stopped him from doing that because most of them, their questions and concerns were how much they should get, which positions are they going to take, as opposed to what should be the general and genuine cause. He said Bobi Wine was led away astray by milk card politicians, and for that reason, now the change that was nearly in the grip of their hands is far away from, from reach. But he said, of course, he won't relent. He will also be fighting with DP. He also mentioned the fact that he has, to show that he was actually genuine with the cause, he said he had he has contributed about 400 million for the activities of Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So that is what Dr. Mao was saying. Of course, he was saying that those who are stopping Kyagulanyi from going to the DP were saying that Mao is a smart guy. He's just going to be moving you along as he looks for elections. So either he will go for MP or he will go run for presidency. So in the event that he becomes president, Honorable Kyagulanyi will not be getting anything out of it. So he says those milk card politicians took away the change they were actually almost, getting into their grip of their hands. So yes, that is what Dr. Mao was saying. He was so frustrated at that because he says, the country, the people who should really be looking at making change happen are actually moving it further. He said on behalf of Ugandans, he is so frustrated and so disappointed at a lot of, members of the opposition for taking away what belonged to the Ugandans. That's what that gentleman passed. So I think that is basically what I have for you for the updates. We have Lilian, Omumbejja Lilian Luwedde is going to be coming up. We shall be talking about a number of issues. Shall be looking at the vaccination. If it should be made mandatory, because now people are being banned from attending, reaching public places. So should the vaccination be made mandatory so that people avoid the prioritization of, second guessing, being the skepticism of should I be vaccinated, should I not be? So we should be talking about that. We are going to be talking about, of course, reopening of schools, if it's possible that the government is even going to provide those funds for schools to be able to run smoothly when they open in January, as the calendar, education calendar was put out by the Minister of Education. We shall also be looking at the fuel prices. Nowadays, the petrol is, I think, about 4,600. They are surging. The economy also, going back to Dr. Cheza Besigye, he was mentioning the fact that in some countries, the prices and taxes are going to, are put down, not at the same, because the economies have been affected. And the GDP growth is not about how much money the government has in their coffers, but how much people are thriving economically. So if we don't have enabling environments to be able to recover that economy, if the taxes are kept high and they're even increasing them more, what does that inform our economy as a whole? Should we expect, crumbling economic depression at that? Because now the economy is not on its feet, and at the time for the government to be able to provide incentives that should be moving us a step further in the direction of recovery and resumption of the economy, the taxes are actually going higher. So it means that people are going to find more ways of avoiding taxes, and that means the government will not be getting any taxes at the end of the day. So if the taxes are not in position, of course services will not be provided. So if services are not provided, people are in jeopardy. And of course, if the economy isn't growing at all, we shall see poverty. Basic services will not be available. People are not going to take their children back to school. A number of those things. Again, Dr. Keza Besigye hinted on the fact that even as people are going students are going back to school, the government is not thinking about the fact that parents don't actually have the money to take those people back. So what the government should the government do? Because the government is us, and we have been in the COVID altogether. So what should we do? Are those calls that Dr. Kizza Besigye was making plausible? Are they feasible and genuine causes? Are they realistic? Are we really moving forward, with that? And also mentioning a little bit on corruption, we shall be talking a little bit about that. He said, Dr. Kizza Besigye said that President saying that we are glad that our corrupt officials are not taking their money away. They're actually keeping them here. He said, unless that also includes the big man himself. He said that they are keeping them here, and he said, go slow. So the president saying go slow on the corrupt officials is more or less the same as saying, you're trying to touch something of something. So that is a little bit, we shall be talking a little bit of that, about that, and a number of other issues that are really happening around the world. So we are going to be going in for a short commercial break. We'll be right back with Omumbejja, Lilian, and Luwedde, and we shall be dissecting a few, looking at what has happened in the week and the pressures that has happened. What do we need to do to move forward economically? And in this festive season, how do we survive at that? We're going to go in for a short commercial break. My name is Tulyahabwe. Together with Lilian, we'll be here giving you a little bit of those insights. Good morning.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage. The Voltage gaba masannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna saawa 11 paka saawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Dig Talk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You're welcome back from that short commercial break. Again, good morning, Ugandans. Good morning, every one of you who is watching us live. And for those, of course, who will catch us later, you can always find our videos on YouTube. For those who cannot catch us real time, of course, people have work. You're probably going to work. You can still catch us. You know, you can check within later our Facebook page or YouTube channel, The Alternative Uganda. You should be finding these videos and these discussions. And you can also keep it going. So here we are talking about what is happening in Uganda, what is basically happening around the country, the pressures, you know, the policies that were passed, the bans to ban, you know, people from attending public places because they have not been vaccinated. And with me is Lilian, Omumbejja Lilian Luwedde. She's looking glamorous today. Good morning, Lilian.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you today?
I'm fine.
Nice to have you. But you know, we are in a festive season and people are looking really nice.
A very good morning to you, viewers. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Mighty Drive. I am Princess Luwedde. Lilian, welcome on the show. Mbabuzaako yonna gye musizidde okubanga mutulaba nsoose wali mu lulimi oluzungu nensooka ndwogeramu kaawo katono naye nga mbabuzaako mwenna gye musizidde okubanga mutulaba abatulabira mu ggwanga Uganda n'ebitundu by'eggwanga eby'enjawulo mwebale nnyo okubanga ate mutwekuumiddeko era nga n'olwaleero twagguse dda bumale kulaba nga ate tubaweereza tuli mu wiiki njiyite ya keetalo abantu bali mu keetalo k'amaanyi nnyo abagula ebintu bagula kwegamba buli omu yeetegeka mu ngeri okulaba nga ate bajaguza amazaalibwa ga Mukama waffe Yesu Kristo era nga mbabuuzaako mwenna abali mu keetalo ssaawa zino oga nti anze leero lwe lunaku lwenfunye okusobola okulaba nga ngenda kukola ku shopping ey'enjawulo ennyongera mikwano okubategeeza nti ate mwekuume eyambala mask ng'otambula ekirwadde kya COVID-19 tekiggwangayo etambula nga munnange ate weekuuma olema okulya sekukulu ng'ate munnange tuli mu mbeera nnungi naye nga nnyongera okubabuuzaako mwe bamikwano ababeerako buli ku makya mwebale nnyo kubeera nga ate kwe muli ntumirako mwami Kefa Alex Brooke Williams n'abalala mwami Mutale Farouk mubeerako nnyo buli ku makya ne mulaba nti ate mweyongera okumanya n'okubanga ate mukeera naffe buli kadde oba buli lunaku sanyuse nnyo okubanga ate mukikola era nga ate tusobola okulaba nga tutambuza eggwanga lyaffe n'okulaba nga tweyongerako okumanya oba oliawo eriffe abavubuka mwami Rogers nkubuuze mu lulimi Oluganda tosooka kunziza nnyo mu luzungu wasuze otya ssebo
nasuze bulungi nnyo wasuze otya
bulungi
mmanyi Oluganda. I am Uganda and I should be knowing this. If anything, I've even lived in Uganda more than I've lived in any part of Uganda. So Oluganda ndumanyi mwasuze mutya bannaye tusanyusa balaba leero ku Alternative TikTok lwakuba siri confident to do like construct like sentences, a lot
constructing
of them.
sentences in Luganda.
In Luganda.
Okay,
I'm not so confident to do that. But we are in a festive season. Christmas is coming. What are you so excited about? If you are excited, you know.
I don't know whether I'm excited, but of course that's the time Jobeda Kone family, and then you spend time together because literally we don't stay together at as you understand ngabo bitegera. So that is the time jofunako with family. You get to talk about a lot of things. You get to get that time nobera ko ne bazadde bo ne munyumya ne bakubuza ebibuzo. Of course there are these times when you go back to the village and then they start asking you questions. What do you do for a living? When are you getting married? Such kind of questions.
I saw a tweet yesterday. Sorry for cutting it short. I saw a tweet yesterday, and this woman was saying, now is that time of the year where you go and they'll be like, you'll go to a function, they will be introducing people, they say like, this one, she was writing in Runyakwari, Ogogu nakora omusiva aviation ebe byenyonyi, Ogogu nakora na this and that company. Hariona Nogu, that woman is a CEO of a certain company that does coffee. Ngogo wakoreva ni CEO womwani. Konka achirisingo takaswiru. No swerwa lyari.
Meaning?
So this is the time when your aunties and uncles are going to be asking, boy, girl, what are you doing? Where is he? Where is she? Have you met him? Have you met her? What are the plans?
Those kind of questions.
So,
as if
are
we're
you
not
ready-
getting
are you
a
ready
married
for
at a
that?
certain nti webwezi emyaka 24 tolina kubanga ate okyali single olina okubanga ofumbiddwa, such kind of questions.
Yeah, well, for some reason they are probably, right? That is the
baagala bamanye wawe oyimiridde.
Woyimiridde, yes.
Saagala
Identify.
bamanye wenyimiridde
At
nja
the-
bagamba ng'ekiseera ekituufu kituuse.
At the end of the day, you have to find a rib. That person has to be there.
Yes, I know I'll have to find a rib, but mwe temumbuuza muleke nze zze mbagambe nti mumanyi ekiriwo kye kino.
Gwe lwaki obalwisa?
Eh?
Lwaki obalwisa?
Buli muntu abaako ne bwasetinga obulamu bwe bwasetinga ebintu bye naga nti ze ku myaka bwe giti oba oliawo nja kuba njagala nfumbirwe. Siga nti buli bwe mpeza oba 22 oba 23 nyina kuba Rogers.
Tove by'obufumbo.
Onvuze speed.
Tove by'obufumbo. Good thing my father is not one of those people.
But
He does not
go
do
esunzeeki.
that. I don't know this year, honestly, except for the fact that, Jesus is going to be born. He was born a long time ago. But of course, we commemorate this day because as a believer, it's that time of the year that we appreciate God for what he has brought us through. Living this whole year, a lot of people, especially in this period, have lost their lives. COVID-19, Omicron is still coming up, but I'm still living. It's not because I'm that strong or my immunity is so strong.
Or that you're so special.
That I'm so special to God. God does not play with priorities, but I am still living regardless. So it's that season that I go to, that temple and glorify God for bringing me this far. It's basically, I think, the only thing. Because, I want to be traveling to the village, so there's that fun I am going to be missing. But I'll find fun here. I have another family away from family. So yeah, I'll still be enjoying. I'll eat, of course, there's going to be eating. I am so, waiting, looking forward to doing that.
When we were young, that is the day gy'osuubirako okulya emmere yonna, like never fumba different dishes at the same time.
You don't
right
know.
now you're like, bino byonna bye already mbirya, kwegala si bipya nnyo.
Wetwali abatuse bwe tewabiryanga byonna.
No, saawa zino right now.
Mpozi now,
kati otuuka n'obirya n'obyetuusaako gwe ng'omuntu. Naye luli osanyuka baguze engoye empya, twaguze enkoko ya Sekukulu, kati saawa zino ya Sekukulu eba yatuuse. Mugisibira wali wabwe nga ne bamuli baana balaba.
Ebeerangawo.
But Rogers, mwabadde tuwa amawulire otutegeezeza nti mu districts ezimu tokyasobola ku accessinga cities because toli vaccinated. No menya Fort Portal.
Yes.
What exactly is going on? Abantu balina kwegemesa ku mpaka, abagala n'abatayagala buli omu olina okuba nga bakugema.
I am one of those people who actually think it should be mandatory. Because you see, at the end of the day, it helps us, it saves us. The vaccination is for you and the people around you, and most of the times the people who are around us, our families, our relatives, our friends, people we really care about. So it's important that you vaccinate yourself to avoid the risk of, if you happen to come across the virus. Sorry, I keep mixing those words. If you by any chance have the virus, you cannot spread it. So as a way of stopping the spread of that virus, especially now that people are traveling from one place to another, it's important that people are vaccinated. It was happening in Fort Portal. They were stopping people. I think you can see from the screen. People were being stopped that to access that city, you must have had a vaccination card. But better and good enough is that there was a vaccination point at that place. So
vaccinating and then you continue with your journey.
Boba wazenga tole vaccinated.
Okay.
Baku vaccinating awo ne bakuwa ka card n'olyoka oyingira ekibuga. Naye nga tosobola kuyingira nga you don't have a card, you're not vaccinated, and ne batakukuba jab you at that same point. So I think it is a good move. And even adding on the fact that now they made it a policy that people cannot access public places unless they are vaccinated. The Minister for State Minister for PHC, Primary Health Care, Anifa Kawoya, was mentioning it that people who are not vaccinated, you don't have a vaccination card, you cannot be accessing certain places. Toja genda mudwayo probably, or toja genda mu church, most of the places that are usually crowded. Toja genda yo lwakuba, you're going to be spreading the virus, or you're going to get it. because of course if you're not vaccinated, but if you encounter someone who is not vaccinated and has the virus, you start more chances of getting the virus as opposed to someone who is vaccinated. So I think it's a good move.
I also believe it's a good move because ebiseera bye tulimu abantu bangi nnyo bali mu kuva mu kibuga nga bwe bagenda mu byalo okiwulidde, so okugenda mu kyalo ne covid ate n'omusiiga abakulu nakyo kiba tekiyamba, but I'm also loving it nti abantu bajja kugenda beegemese because bannayuganda oluusi ebintu ebimu oba tubiteekamu kusaaga oba tubiteekamu ki because ongamba nti tubadde ne wave esoose neggwa ne tukufuna second wave and then people are not vaccinated. You can imagine ate nga tekitwala budde bungi, bw'otuuka nga obudde bukyali basobola okukuba akayiso oko n'ogenda n'okola emirimu gy'oba n'owaayo olunaku lumu n'ogamba nti kangende bakole ki baŋŋeme, but it's not nti oba ogenda ku losing oba something. Abantu babadde boogera ebintu bingi but nze I believe bw'ogenda ne weegemesa kitaasa bingi because tetunnamanya oba tetunnaba na kumanya waves zimeka zijja kati tukyali wano tukyali kukana ate akapya akakajja.
That's the funny part, and that's what President wa US Joe Biden yabadde agamba of America, that you see we do not know the future. We don't know how many waves are still there.
Yes.
So it is important that you vaccinate to preempt at least those waves, the spread, so that even when it comes, it does not affect us as much as it has affected all of us in the previous waves. So then ndowooza twandibadde vaccinating, and we should also
and actually for some people balowooza nti balina kubabeerako bamubeereko genda vaccinating and forgetting that kiyamba buli muntu sekinoomu. Togamba nti bwenna vaccinating anyamba government, you're not helping the government at the end of the day. Weyamba gwe ng'omuntu okulaba nti bakugema oba n'okweziyiza obutalwala bulwadde bwa COVID-19 because bwe bakugema at least kikendeezaako ku risks ez'okulwala ekirwadde kino ekya COVID-19. So I urge Ugandans to go and vaccinate. Kituyambe ffenna okutwaliza wamu.
Mpozi n'okuba nti we should also be learning from history. You know, some years around the age we were born, late 1990s and early 2000s, wabirangawo bino ebintu bya polio, measles. You remember? A lot of people we can see, abantu abamu were affected by polio, ne balemala because they didn't want to be vaccinated. And you find you're going to become lame for the rest of your life. You're probably not going to be able to do certain things because you just, oganye kwegemeza. What does it take away from you? Even then, people are skeptical. Skepticism never goes away because you can never be 100% sure. But either way, it's only safer, it's better. If you're betting, it's a better position to be vaccinated other than betting your life on your skepticism. So I think from buying from those histories,
I think nakyo kye bakoze ekyokustopinga abantu okuaccessinga cities oba okuaccessinga public places oba okuaccessinga offices ez'enjawulo kinayambako okulaba nti abantu bagenda ne babagema because oli bw'anaatuuka ng'alaba tajja kusobola kufuna service olw'okuba si mugeme ajja kumanya nti okwegemesa nsonga nkulu because abamu bagitaddemu nnyo okusaaga okungi, abamu balina ebintu bye boogererako ku vaccination n'agamba sijja genda ku vaccinating nze eddembe lyange ng'omuntu. I actually wanted to ask you as a lawyer, what do you think about this? Because abamu bakitadde ku ddembe lyange ng'omuntu okuba nti nsalawo kye njagala. This is my life, this is my body, nze nsalawo ba ngenda bangeme oba sigenda kuŋŋema. So nga ggwe ategeera field eno eyeddembe ly'obuntu n'amateeka. What's your take on this?
Generally, you have a right, I want to say. But usually, the enjoyment of your right should not infringe on the right of others. So as much as you enjoy your right, it should not affect your neighbor. It should not affect another person. So if you're saying, unless if you don't want to be vaccinated, beda munju forever. You don't move. Because every time you move and you're not vaccinated, you're putting other people's lives at danger. So that means your enjoyment of right is an infringement on other people's rights. So that means as you're not entitled to that right. Unless, there's only one exception, unless you're going to be staying indoors for good. That is the only way out, which you cannot do. Of course, you cannot be living in the house forever. You cannot do that. So either way, it's only possible that you only enjoy that right the only right you have right now is to be vaccinated, because only then that is in, you know.
Actually nze ngenze n'okulaba nti abantu abamu bino ebya SOPs babivaako, abantu okwambala masks, abantu okusanitizinga, abantu okunaaba engalo nga bayingira mu bizimbe, oyingira n'otambula n'oyitawo bulungi nnyo nga tewali akwaziza, tewali akoze ekyebizimbe ebyenjawulo abantu bayingira. So I'm thinking nti bw'oba oli vaccinated kiyamba gwe ng'omuntu okukendeeza ku mikisa gy'okukwatibwa obulwadde bwa COVID-19, because saawa zino ekibuga kiri fully packed, abantu bangi bava from different places ne musinkana mu town, tomanyi ono gye yayitidde, tomanyi wawa zaakwata, so mu process y'okuexchanginga ssente awo osobola okufuna ekirwadde, naye bw'oba oli vaccinated at least emikisa gy'okukifuna giba mitonoko.
Ekyo kituufu. And our neighbor Tanzania, they are diagnosed about 50 of their MPs are COVID positive. So that
Tanzania
is
nga babadde
our nearest neighbor.
Ati babadde waabwe teri COVID. Era
first wave
tetwawulirako bwe bayogera ku kya COVID, the late president yaliko ekiseera ekyo, the late Magufuli naye yategeeze waabwe teriyo COVID-19, second wave eze, anzukira omukyala president aliko kati Samia Suluhu yategeeza nti banaye twambale masks COVID-19 atta. So I was like, okay, wali ewasooka teyaliiwo nga omugenzi Magufuli akyali mulamu, saawa zino wa president omupya atutegeeza nti kati COVID-19 waali. So it brings a lot of questions omuli nti bwe muba mwagamba nti Tanzania tebalina COVID-19, then bano ba MPs 50 bamugjewa. And then the other question is, bwe baba nga ba MPs betumanyiko be bafunye this COVID-19 or abantu ba wansi bo bali kuki oba bameka abalina ekirwadde kya COVID-19?
I think what Tanzania has been doing is almost the same as what South Korea was doing. They made sure that they don't publicize the kind of information. That when they have those outbreaks, the numbers, they keep them to themselves. So I think it's the same that has been happening in Tanzania until now, that they cannot probably contain it anymore, or because President Suluhu does not believe in the fact that there is no COVID in Tanzania as President late Magufuli was doing. So those we should also, even being the fact that our neighbors have that much COVID, if the MPs are diagnosed, probably a lot of people have the virus down there. So if our neighbors have those kind of outbreaks right now, and it's for the Omicron, we are at more risk also. Because our borders, I think, are open, we can move around. There has not been, in-country lockdowns. So I think we can move to Tanzania, and they are also moving to Uganda. So it means we're also at higher risks of getting the Omicron variant going viral. So it means your vaccination is also our own savior. It's our own way out. If our neighbors have those, Kenya also has a lot of COVID cases, the new ones. We have also registered a number of those. So no one is that safe right now.
No one is safe, but mukulembeze gwanga yategeeza nti agenda kugulawo mu January, okugulawo ebisinga obungi, omuli amasomero ndooza n'ebirala ebigenda okuggulwawo. So I'm asking myself, will they even open? Because bw'olaba nga tutandise okuregistering cases eza Omicron eyakajjobuzi in Uganda, because last time nali ndaba amawulire nga bagamba we've registered 9 cases of Omicron. So it brings a question, are they even going to open? Because are we even ready for reopening?
I think, personally I think we are. Why? Because the president has been informing us. He even said throughout the last year that, you see, next year we're going to be opening. I have told you long enough. I have told you everything you should be doing. So the ball is in your court. So you know what to do. It's the same thing as the only solution is here, and the solution is not to be paid for. Vaccination is free. Why don't you vaccinate? Now that goes back to Uganda, and it's not for the president anymore. It's not for the leaders. Because the solution is there, but people are just being skeptical. They are just laying back and refusing to take the solution as it comes. So I think opening is a good option. Everyone now will know that it is. But are we
really ready for the reopening?
What do we need to be ready?
If you look at the education sector, and then anyway sinalaba nnyo maanyi ge batadde ku nsonga yakulaba nti bategeka abasomesa obaoliawo n'abayizi okuddayo okusoma because bayinza okutunula okutegeka abasomesa bokka ne beerabira abayizi because abayizi mu kiseera kino ebbanga lyo libamaze ewaka ebbanga libadde ddene abamu bazze mu bintu birala nnyo abaana abatandise okukwata ku ssente omukonvinsinga nti addeyo asome kigenda kubeera kizibu so essira nga bwe bagamba nti balitadde okulaba nti bagezaako okuteekateeka abasomesa then n'abaana bali badde bateekebwa omwana obwongo bwe bukomewo mu class because nzijukira omulundi ogwasooka bwe ba openingira abaana ne baddamu okusoma nga abasomesa bagamba bannaye tufunye obuzibu obw'enjawulo nti abaana batuuse mu bibiina nga bye bagenda bamanyi tebajjukirako yadde n'ekimu ovanga kukuba nti bwe mwakoma twakoma wano bwe tuti ne bwe tuti obwadde omanyi nti mugenda kwongerezaako naye ate ne kijja ng'olina kuddayo buto okusobola okunnyonnyola omwana ono nti obwayi
oba yeerabira n'ebyo byali yakasomako
ne bye yali yakasomako yabyerabira because bw'otunulira abaana babadde nga basomera ewaka abaana batono nnyo and ekyo kiri nnyo in the city negendako mu byalo omanyira nti ddala kituufu abaana abasinga tebali ready kuddayo ku masomero nti abamu abadde ng'ewaka ayambako muzaddewo oba mu kulunda ente oba mu kulima oba ki nga akadde akatunulako mu kitabo yasemba kitunulamu lwe yali ku ssomero and you can imagine nti ekiseera abaana kye bagenda okusomeramu ocoveringamu ebintu eby'emyaka ebiri kiseera kitono nnyo because bw'oŋŋa nti oli agenda coveringa waka wa P5 ne P6 in 1 year that's something different because zino giri myaka ebiri obibasoma mu myaka ebiri bingi naye ate gweyagala bimuwe mu mwaka gumu kati weebuuze ye agenda obiteeka mu mutwe gwe agenda biyingizaamu
and it's two way omwana agenda oteeka ebyemyaka ebiri mu mwaka gumu mu mutwe n'omusomesa agenda okusomesa omwana 2 syllabuses in 1 year it's also another jeopardy even the schools themselves okugula kati amasomero yesterday we were coming from somewhere and you remember when I said so the school is
it's
going
what
to
is
open.
going on right now. Most of the private schools ezimu zimenyeddwawo abamu babadde balina loans ez'enjawulo nti kati banka yatwala essomero bayatwala ettaka eryo kati nga nabo bennyini tebalina nawe batandikira era ojja kwesanga nga amasomero mangi nnyo mu kugulawo mangi nnyo agatagenda kugulawo nalaba nerabidde ekitundu gye nalaba but ng'essomero Entebbe mulimu ekiswa entebe z'abaana kubatuula kuliko ekiswa kuli kinene bwe kiti kati weebuuze masomero ameka agali bwegato because bwe baba nga banokolayo eryo limu oba batulagako eryo limu amasomero ameka agali mu mbeera eyo and some schools ebibiina tebakyayina waliwo abaana basomeranga mu miti so you even wonder oba banaasobola okuobservinga SOPs nti bwogamba nti mu class abaana kuba botuka mu government schools mulimu abaana bangi ojja tula mu class nga mulimu abaana 10 abaana 10 banaasobola okugamba nti kati ku desk oba ku looka emu eri wano endala eri wano endala eri wano endala eri wali
government schools mubeeramu looka nze gye nasomera UP twakusutulanga ku desk
A-level babeera ne lookers primary yes babeera ne desks secondary balina entebe zaabwe ze bakozesa but era batuulako basatu so ku mulundi guno baana asobola otuulako ababiri nti ono ajja tuula wano n'omulala atuule wali oba bana balina lockers nti ono eyo nejja kuba wano eyo nenaabeera wali you even look at the classes the number of classes eziriyo nti si nnyingi buli kuba bakwata n'abaana ne babagabizaamu ne baba ne streams ez'enjawulo ojja kwesanga amasomero agamu galina streams nga 5 oba nnyo oba 3 naye ng'era buli stream erimu abaana nga 10 so abaana abo 10 banasobola batya okubalaba okufollowinga nti okay they're observing the SOPs okumanya nti kati ono asiibye mu masiki ono abadde bwati ne bwati so it's a lot of so it's a very very big job government gyetaaga okuba nga etunuulira n'okulaba nti eteekamu nnyo amaanyi ku nsonga eno ey'okugulawo because bwe tunaagamba nti tumale gaggulawo tuyinza okumaliza nga tuzzeeyo eri gye twatandikira because ojjukira bye baggulirawo ate baba bakagulawo wayita emyezi 2 ate ne baddamu ne baggalawo so I'm thinking ti gavumenti yali zisoose neddamu neyekenneenya ku ngeri ebyegenda okuteeka oba byegenda okugoberera nga okuggulawo kutuuse because bwe banaaba tebakikoze tugenda laba nga tukola ebintu bye bimu nga tubiddingana buli kaseera
wasoose kubuuza if we are even ready for reopening. For the education sector as one, Dr. Chizabesi have a solution that, you know, they provide some kind of funds to the public and private schools to be able to reopen, because schools are bankrupt. They have nowhere to begin from.
Schools are bankrupt, but even the parents,
parents don't have money.
Yes.
Teachers don't have money. They also want money, but schools don't have money. So I think he had a good solution that they provide a little bit of some incentives for these schools to be able to get back on feet, so that curriculum, at least for 1 year, so that in the next one they are able to stabilize, because and they can move on.
You can imagine waliwo amasomero agamu agasasula sente nyingi, omwana asasula emitwalo 7, ali mpitto oba
emitwalo
7 lyeryalayisiko Rogers lyeryalayisiko. You can even reach in government schools ng'abaana bambasasula mitwalo 4.5 naye ngira bamugoba ku mitwalo egyo n'ekitundu ne bamugobera ne requirements nga taziina. So ekyo kituufu nnyo retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye kye yasuggestinze okulaba nti government ekikolako, naye the question is banakikola banakiteeka mu nkola,
because now there's too much on the government plate. There's a health sector, doctors were striking, wawulidde jonga announcing the lab, I think lab technicians started their strike yesterday, just days after the intern doctors had stopped their whatever. And then now doctors, what is going on? And then we have, we want the economy to be opened. We have the new variant coming. We have the health sector that is, you know, striking every now and then. I think we should also put the focus on health sector. For the education, there's you know, a few things. If we have life, we can try to look for other things.
Actually,
so I think we should also look at the health sector.
Abana vaccinated, right? Because ojjukira last time kugulawo luli abaana mu masomero agamu abasomesa babagamba nga basirike nga babagaana okwogera nti babalwadde ba COVID-19. Abaana ku luno era ndaba tebali vaccinated. It's only bana abali ku universities, but bana abaana abato abali mu high school, abalala abali abato tebali vaccinated. So
maybe they are planned for vaccination, because if the school calendar is saying that they are opening in January, apparently I think the policy will be that every school should have a vaccination point. Nti omwana babeeraze basooke bamuvaccinate ng'alyoka ayingire, kubanga otherwise abaana abava eri bagenda kuba in different parts of the country. So it means that if someone has a virus, it's easy to spread. And if it spreads, of course, the immune system is not the same as if so it's but we are going to go into a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about Besigye's press yesterday and DP Mao's speech on you know, this gentleman of no principle, Bobby Wine, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk about corruption, and also again, basically what he was saying about going, President mentioning that they should go slow on the corrupt officials. We will be talking a little bit about that. And maybe the fuel prices. Where does that leave us? She was also mentioning yesterday that in Kenya, VAT was reduced from 16 to 14%. In Uganda, the taxes are only increasing and prices of commodities are only going up. And they're majorly for the essential services that people want for everyday lives. Where does that leave our economy and the people generally? So we're going to go in for a short commercial break. When we come back in the second hour, you shall also have the opportunity to call in. We shall be reading you the numbers that you should be able to call in. You can also send your comments or a question on our Facebook page, The Alternative Uganda, where we are streaming live right now. We shall be able to read those comments, and maybe if there's a question, we shall find a solution together. Of course, no one is a custodian of knowledge. We're all learning from each other every now and then. Let's go in for a short commercial break. We shall be right back in the second hour.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Jembadde itaita nsanze abasajja nga bagamba lwaki bala batukula Farida lwaki mukula abasajja
omusajja baba tebamukudde asanyuka busanyusi n'akuwa ssente kati bw'alaba nga tafunye kyayagala n'alowooza mbu wamukudde aba yazikuwadde oba tewamukudde.
Okay, Lilian, lwaki mwagala abasajja abakulu?
Nabo batwagala naye fetubagala lwakuba tubategekera future.
Okay, tutegekera future. What you say? For more insightful topics, yes, keep it the Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk. Remember, Snap Talk airs every Saturday, right from 6 to 7, with your girl Teddy Tenjo. But I never come alone. I come with the two beautiful girls.
Lilian, Luwedde, the princess.
Meanwhile, we have a new home. I'm super excited. What do you think of our new home, Farida?
I love it.
Lilian?
I just love everything.
Yes, let's keep it the Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Kulika nyo mukumula mwoko the mighty drive program joli mukulaba nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian mu studios and muno mwami Rogers Tulyahabwe tugenda maaso n'okugayagaya mu nsonga ate ezigenda maaso bezibadde zitambula mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda banenyongera okubategeeza bannange program eno ebeera buli lunaku olw'Emmande okutuuka olunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'okumakya mpaka ssaawa 3 twogera ku nsonga ate ez'enjawulo zotasaanidde kubanga obuusa amaaso bazo zotasaanidde kubanga ate osubwa tuli mu ssaawa yaffe ey'okubiri ndaba ebibuuzo bingi nnyo tugenda kubanga ate tubiyitaayitamuko nga tetunaba ate kudda ku mulamwa ogwokubiri naye ojja kusobola okubanga ate otukubirako studio lines zaffe MTN eri 0789 017145 0789017145 enamba ya MTN ndiosobola okubanga ate okubako oba 0759 132310 namba ate eya Airtel ojja kubanga okuba mu studios butereevu obuuza ekibuuzo ate oba oli awo otese ne ku nsonga gye tubadde twogera ku nsonga y'ekirwadde kino ekya COVID-19 mu bitundu ebyenjawulo okugeza no Fort Portal tokyasobola kubanga ate otuukira ddala mu kibuga nga toli vaccinated oba nga tolina card eraga nti mutuufu bakugema ekirwadde ekya COVID-19 wetusookedde mu ssaawa yaffe esoose nga tetunaba kugenda ate mu kuwummulamu naye njagala okubategeeza abamikwano nti retired Justice Professor George Wilson Kanyihamba munnanga ate teyeebudda bulungi embeera ye si nnungi tewoomya nnakabululu ensonga lwaki yatuyise the Alternative Digital okulaba nga tetwogerezeganyaamu atubuulire ye omwaka nate agulabye atya biki ate biki ebirala bye twetaaga okubanga tukola oba oli awo tubuulire ne ku butabo bupya ate bwe yawandize ono nno tugenda kuba naye ku Mighty Drive olunaku olw'enkya olunaku lugenda kuba lwakuna ennaku z'omwezi zigenda kuba 23 tugenda kuba naye mu studios butereevu olunaku lwankya lunaku lwakuna bwe tugenda okuba naye ate ku Mighty Drive twongere okubanga ate tuwuliriza okuva gyali nyongera okubategeeza Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyihamba olunaku olw'enkya ku Mighty Drive agenda kubaako nnyo mwami noono teyeewulira bulungi embeera ye si nnungi tewoomya ttooke oba oli awo ate ensonga lwaki yatuyise okulaba nga ate atubuulira oba ali awo ne byagenda okuba nga ate atubuulira biyitirivu mwe tunajja ate ensonga endala zetugenda okuba nga ate twogerako. Mwami Rogers,
Manjino.
abantu batadde wano ebibuuzo
Waliwo akasoose katonagenda mu maaso. Mr. Norman agambye, you know that when you go to the village, katoso kwogera. Ngamba Alex atwemerereho ali asomera obulamuzi.
Oh, bwaba mu introducing wali bagantu no yasoma
obulamuzi.
Kati gwe baba ku introducing bagamba wakola ki?
Most of them, those people don't know that you don't study to be a judge. You only, progress to become a judge from being a lawyer.
Okay.
So for them, they know that you have studied law, you are definitely a judge. So,
okay. Mchala Nabukira Tenjotidi Agamba, vaccination. Well, let those that want to be vaccinated go and vaccinate. Those that don't want, it's okay, let them not get vaccinated, but put limits on them. They will look for the vaccination. By the way, time is going to come when it's expensive to get vaccinated. Yet right now, it's free. Yes, she's right. But wetwagaya ebyendaga muntu tetujagenda kwewandisa ensonga nefuuka serious. Tokyasobola kugulawo account nga tolina ID, tokyasobola kwegamba kuwandisa line nga tolina ID, ebintu bingi ne bwe twali tugenda ku digital. Olwo nga tuva ku analog bodda mu bya TV nga tugenda ku digital. Abantu ne ba complaining nga nalabako omwami omu nga yeetisse TV nze sijja gula decoder, sijja kukola ntya. Omwami omu navayo nagamba omwami oyo abagamba nti tajja bikola oba oli awo ewuwa alina DSTV naye ate ali biza ali mbawuddisa nti temukola kino na kiro. Nabukira Tenjotedi nayongerako naga Lilian, we are ready oba how because we can never be ready and our kids can't keep home anymore. Otherwise, the levels of illiteracy is going to rise again in Uganda like years back, yet we had already fought illiteracy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
she's right about
literacy rates. Of course, nowadays, and now here is the problem. Now Ted is a little bit contradicting. She's saying we should not get vaccinated. It shouldn't be mandatory. Those who want should go. Those who don't want should not. And then he's saying that we are going to get high rates of illiteracy if our kids don't back to school. But now I am saying, me and a few people, and of course now that they're making it policy, that everyone should get vaccinated or they cannot go to public places. It means that then people are going to be vaccinated. When they make it mandatory, they will vaccinate. And that means kids will be able to go back to school. So to fight illiteracy, we need to get vaccinated.
Actually, there are Minister wa Health, Dr. General Sacheng Nayenga, alimo Parliament, ngategeza bagenda kuleta etteeka ku COVID-19 ku bantu abandoza batagala kwegemesa.
For mandatory. I am honestly pro that. There's a gentleman who is a doctor. He said, Mr. Counsel in the studio, the medical law doesn't set it that way. I think it was about when you asked me.
Yeah,
I wasn't talking in the medical sense. I was talking about law as one, not medical law. So law is, I think it's just a principle of life, that as you enjoy your privileges, you should not infringe on the privileges of others. It is basically how it goes.
Vaccination should not be made mandatory for as long as one is willing to observe SOPs. Get me well, I'm not against vaccination, but bwabanga omuntu ali willing observing in Uganda, I'm not sure abantu bali willing observing SOPs.
Kakatubere willing, how do you observe? How do you observe?
Teka wakabanga nga bwe tukataddewo nti bwebanga otujogera naawe beereyo ng'oyogera nga waliwo ebbanga.
Someone works downtown. Now, they don't want to vaccinate because they think they can observe SOP. How do they live? Is that possible?
It's not. In Uganda, right now, it's not.
It's not.
Because bw'otunuulira ssaawa zino ekiri mu kibuga, abantu bangi, abantu beetala, abantu bava eno badda eri, nga abamu baabiva nako dda. Ne mu motoka, mu taxis ezisaabaza abantu. Abantu ebya masiki
baabivaako dda.
Abamu bamanyi balina engeri ne gye beekwekamu aba traffic. I really don't understand. Ngoli atisse basatu naayita kuba traffic nga tebamukutte namukwata. Actually n'abasatu baatisse. Abambadde mask abali munda balinga babiri ate batudde mu maaso. You can imagine. You can imagine.
I think well, he has a point. It would be okay if we are saying that someone can observe SOPs, they should not get vaccinated. It would be okay. But in a country where we live, I don't really think it's realistic. I don't think it's plausible. I don't think it's feasible. It's not realistic. Toyinza kubeera nga we are in a country abantu ebintu tubigula mu butale.
Sigamba nti abantu bakozesa cards oba
sente abantu bakozesa ebintu tubigula mu butale tugaba sente. You're buying something, it's money on, in hand.
So you're exchanging money.
You're exchanging money.
Yeah.
So it's possible that ate bw'omuwa agenda kuwa change. So it's
change,
two way. Either omuwa oba akuwa. So even if you observe SOPs, I don't think it's possible to do that.
Ugenda okulaba we banaabiranga engalo ng'ekidomola kyakala emyaka ng'ene emabega. Bonna buli kimu baakivaako naye ng'ate ekirwadde kino ekya COVID-19 kyo tekinnaba kubaako ate wekipoyera because mawanga agamu olabire ddala nga nayo batandise okubanga abamu badda mu zi lockdowns ez'enjawulo. So you can imagine mu Uganda kintu kye twagala because bwe tuba nga tuli mu kwetegekera reopening mu January ate nga tukyali mu December ne batugamba nti ate kati ekirwadde kizzeemu. Will there be the reopening gye tusuubira oba gye tulindiridde?
And we are the same people have been crying time and again that we are dying, we don't want lockdown. If any, buli muntu abadde ayogera abadde ng'agamba bannaaye president tukwegayiridde tutuuza mu lockdown endala. Tetwagala lockdown, tetwagala curfew because we are dying, people are dying. That is what is happening. So until we vaccinate, those things won't be happening. Chances are ayinza n'okutuzaayo. Even if the president has said that he has informed us long enough that we should be vaccinating and doing that which we need to do to avoid COVID-19.
Actually, vaccination right now, vaccination is free. You don't pay any single penny okuba nti bakuvaccinating oba okuba nti bakugema. So nze omulanga ndi mukugukubira bannayuganda bannaye tugende batugeme genda bakugeme okusobola okulaba nga tutangira ekirwadde kino ekya COVID-19 ensasanya yakyo oba okubanga gwe omuntu okwatibwa ekirwadde kino because bw'onoga nti ogenda kwegemesa oba oyamba government oba okola kini, you're not helping the government. Wabula weyamba gwe ng'omuntu, weyamba gwe nga munnayuganda, weyamba gwe ne family yo, weyamba gwe n'abantu abakwetoolodde okulaba nti ate tosaasanya bulwadde buno kugenda ku muntu mulala. Gwe bw'onoga nti ddembe lyange omubiri gwange ndi wa ddembe ogukozesa kyenjagala. Yes, oli wa ddembe naye n'oli ddembe lyo okuba nti naye tafuna kirwadde kya COVID-19 ng'akifunye kuva ku gwe.
So kyekyo mukulu Ambrose mukama wange mbadde siri doctor and I am not alleging to be one. So naye nze kyeŋŋamba kiri nti bw'obeera oyagala, you want to be safe. It should also be that as much as you enjoy your safety, another person is not affected by that.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
It's okay to not get vaccinated as long as you're not going to spread it, which is close to impossible. Because if you're not vaccinated and you go through you come across someone who has the virus, you're definitely going to get it. Because you're not vaccinated, so you have no immunity against that.
Yeah.
So and when you get it, as in your enjoyment of your right, there's another person you're going to be taking it to. So I think we should really get vaccinated. And I'm one person who is voting for mandatory vaccination. Otherwise, we are going to be in the same circle. We don't want another lockdown. We don't want a lockdown. So we don't.
Actually, kyaliwo in the second wave. Oba oli awo twali kiyigiddeko nnyo. The first wave, okay, yatukosa, but seeing a second wave bwe yatukosa. Bw'ebanga second wave yatuyisa bwetu, the question is, kana akazze ka Omicron kana atuyisa tutya? Oba ate wanaabayo wave endala, oba third wave oba fourth wave, because twawulako ensi ezimu nga bali mu wave yakuna. Nga ffe tukyalina mu wave esooka tunaba na kuyingira mu yakubiri. So bannayuganda tulabireko ekyo, tufunemu ate obaoliawo ekyokuyiga. Mwami Tamale Haruna weebale nnyo kubanga ate oli mu kutulaba mukadde kano.
Agambe you are superstar.
Neyanziza so Mwami Tamale neyanziza neyanzige.
Nakuze nokugambe gwange ekyokukola.
Tuteesa ku nsonga zigenda maaso mu ggwanga. So tuba tulina okuwa way forward. Byonna bitwogerako.
So opinion is so well, probably opinions are so relevant that the country should be picking a leaf, which is a good thing.
Indeed.
So Tamale is recognizing the fact that you're doing a great job.
Mwami Tamale weebale nnyo kubanga ate kwoli. Rogers, what do we have in stock now?
What do we have in stock? As in?
Next.
We have fuel prices, they are going up. Now, petrol is at around, I think, 4,600, and it's only increasing. Of course, it's a global problem because they mentioned the fact that now we live in a liberal world, liberal economies, and people are able to set the standard for how much they sell their resources, their properties and products. But of course, there should be regulations. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. But also to mention, the things are only increasing. The countries, the government is not looking at how these things are happening. I don't know, government yabivako ebyokuregulating ebintu mu ggwanga lino.
Simanyi sawa zino lya kugamba the cost of living is high, especially if you're in Kampala. The cost of living is high. Ate ebintu ebisinga bwe bitandika okulinnya ebituuse ebbeeyi tekka bw'abanga sukaali abadde alinnye nadda ku 15 kinene nnyo kale bajja mutolako oba nnusu 2 adde ku 4
naye asigala mu range eyo.
Asigala mu range eyo.
Kati crisis endala bwe
Now actually yesterday neewuunyiza bwe twagenze ku ssundiro ly'amafuta ne batugamba nti ate tulina petrol. I was like, okay.
So it's
nsonga eri
actually
serious
happening,
nnyo nnyo kati. I was surprised. Nengamba tutuuseewo nga tewali mafuta already ebbeeyi eri waggulu naye ate n'okubaawo tutuuseewo nga tegaliiwo. So you can imagine bw'obanga lino essundiro ly'otuuseeko nga tekuli mafuta ate nga gegemu ku masundiro g'amafuta ge tumanyi ag'amaanyi. Bw'otuukayo nga tewali mafuta ate ganene amatonotono.
Omukulu Dr. Kanochiza Besigye Joe yabadde agamba nti in some countries, he gave a case study of Kenya, that for them now the VAT, a few taxes have been reduced to be able to afford the people the chance to get back on their feet. Because now, of course, with the lockdown, economies have crumbled, people really don't have those basic needs. So it's only imperative upon the government to make sure that people are in a good environment to be able to get back on their feet economically.
You're right.
So now you get a kuchama after kubanga geyongera buyongezi. And other things, really. We have had nothing reduced. Tetulina kyoyinza kugamba nti ogenda mu katale omuwendo gwa kino na kino gwakendedde kubanga abantu tebalina sente.
Actually tulina mu festive season abantu ba traveling abangi so kigenda na nzoza kividdeko n'amafuta okubanga ate nago gabula ate nga you can imagine the prices are high. Sawa zino olaba abantu amafuta emmotoka zisikira ku makubo n'olaba olinga akuta akadomola agenda aganoonye. So you can imagine kikulaga nti sawa zino ekigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga kyokya bwe nnyinza okyogera kuba bwe nnyinza okifunzafunzaamu nti kyokya bw'otunuulira economy yaffe ng'eggwanga ebadde hit by COVID-19 tugezaako buli muntu agezaako kusituka busitusi naye ate bw'otunuulira emisolo giri waggulu nnyo nti abantu abamu oli alabira ddala nga obulamu bwatambuliramu oba embeera mwatambulira ayagala okwebezaawo ng'omuntu naye takyasobola because ebintu ebimu ajja kuba takyasobola kubyetuusaako okiwulidde so kino tekikosa ndoza nze nkitunula okuba nti kikosa eggwanga lyonna okutwaliza because ebbeeyi y'amafuta bwe banga eri waggulu kitegeeza kumpi buli kimu kigenda kubanga
yes.
Abaana abagenda okuddayo okusoma next year oba amasomero agagenda okuggulwawo abazadde nabo bennyini sente ezibazaayo tebazirina kati n'ezinaagula ebintu bye banaakozesa okuddayo ng'ate nabyo bya buseere awo omanyira
ate nga ne sente zennyini tebaziyina kuba abadde mu lockdown. I was seeing someone was tweeting on Twitter okuva wano okugenda ekisoro kati giri emitwalo oba 12 oba 13 awo bwe watyo okugenda ekabaali emitwalo 10. Do you know paying 100,000 for transport?
Actually, you're just going. Yeah, you're just going. Tonaba kubalako zikukomyawo. Tonaba kubalako zogenda kuspending eri. Tonaba kubalako za kugula bintu byogenda okutwalira
abantu transport.
Lawulido nakunga bili emabega nawulira my neighbor nga bamubuulira anti transport oba yali agenda Jinja. I really don't understand. Oba yali agenda Jinja oba yali I don't know. Ne bamugamba anti transport wa mitwalo 6. Nakuba enduulu naga mitwalo mukaga nze ngenda jijja wanyina okugulira abantu bange like genda kubagulira ebintu nyina okukola okweteeka mu transport oba magenda n'amadda bala sente zengenda okuspendinga nga already gyendi because bwe balaba omuntu of course nga avudde Kampala baba bakusuubira okuba nga olina mu sente nanga kati nze ngenda kwegamba ngenda kuva mu kyalo nga sina yadde 10.
So I think I don't know what happened to the regulatory measures in this country. I think the government should work on that. Because when you leave the economy, as much as we want to be liberal, we also need to know that the growth of the country is only dependent on the well-being of the people.
You're right.
The GDP only grows not because you have too much money in the Bank of Uganda, but how much people can survive, can sustain themselves on the street. If someone is a farmer, they know that if they do their farming, there is a market for their products. that way they'll have enough resources to sustain their family and to take their children to school. Now, the person who has put up a school is able to get money. Now, if the person who has put up a school has gotten money, a teacher, someone who has also who is here to teach, is able to get some money. So you realize that it moves in circles. It's like saying you're driving a car. They are washing bays. Someone
washing bays,
is only in a
mechanical.
That person is only dependent on the fact that you have a car. So bogamba nti nze sijja kuvuga motoka anjirekewo waka, there is someone who's not going to get a bread for their family that day. There is someone whose kid is going to sleep hungry, and now that is how things work in circle. So amafuta wageyongera abantu motoka bagenda zivaako zivaako omuntu akola mu washing bay tagenda kufuna sente bw'atazifuna omwana we tagenda ku ssomero tagenda kulya sapa. Before you know it, we are crippling poverty is here and there, which is one thing the M7 has been fighting for. So I think as he has fought for poverty alleviation mechanisms, wealth creation, those parish models that he's doing, I think as he does that, he should look at the fact that some ministries and institutions need to be regulated. And part of regulating those institutions is making sure that the prices of basic needs especially so minimal and affordable and realistic, especially given the economy as it stands right now. Yeah, that's my view.
Because abantu abakyasinze okugula buno obuntu obutonotono agenze mu dduuka n'agula obasukaali n'agula be bantu bano ababulijjo ate actually be basinga n'obungi because bano abastockinga olina stocking omulundi gumu abo be basinga obutono but tulina abantu banene abakola mmere yaali abantu abagala okwetuusako obuntu obwo obutonotono naye agenda okutuuka eri ng'ebbeeyi eri waggulu abuuza ebbeeyi lwaki eri waggulu oba bbeeyi ya sukaali lwaki eri waggulu ensonga gye bamuwa nti n'amafuta gali ki
ate kati omuntu wa wansi omuntu wa bulijjo yatagenda kitegeera agenda kujja sukaali tumulima ekakira lwaki wa buseere bwati naye nga something fuel that should not be affecting them is actually the cause of the hype of those prices. Ate n'ekirala ekizibu, the problem with getting those things up is that people are going to find possible ways of avoiding those taxes. So chances are the government is not actually going to get taxes that they want because every time we put up something that becomes hard for someone to pay, they'll find an alternative, of course. There's always a plan B. They're going to find possible ways of avoiding that tax. And when they avoid tax, that means the government is actually losing more than it would have lost if it regulated those prices.
Actually, bw'otunuulira n'abavubuka badde batandisewo businesses ez'enjawulo abasinga bali mu kuggalawo. Business ziri mu kuggalawo olw'ensonga nti alaba ng'ateekamu kingi naye nga
afuna kitono.
Abamu tafunamu abalala nabafuna kitono naye ng'ate rent ow'edduuka kwakolera ali mu bukadde nga 2. So agenda okulaba nga kyateekamu kingi nnyo okusinga kyafuna munaga why lwaki business ngivaako lwaki business ngiclosinga and kino bwe kinagenda mu maaso bwe kito kigenda tukosanga eggwanga obwavu bugenda kweyongera abantu kwe kutandika okudda mu bintu ebirala ojjukira by then we balinga barwanyisa ennyo bano aba bodaboda abantu abamu abava mu bodaboda ne batandika abamu badda mu bintu birala nnyo abamu bakolanga ebintu ebimenya amateeka so government yali badde tunuulira ensonga eno tagitunuulira ng'egitunuuliza maaso okay ng'egirabire wano kumpimpi ekirabire mu biseera eby'omu maaso kigenda tukosa kitya because tunatunuulira just ekiriwo ssaawa zino ne tutafokasinga ku biseera eby'omu maaso oba tubiteekedde tutya tuyinza obutaganyulwamu because bwe kiba nga kitulumye kati nga tukirabyeko kati bwe tunaba tekisaliddwa ddagala mu kadde kano bwe kinatuuka ate mu maaso kijja kuba kivudde nga tebakyasobola kuba akate kye batereeza
n'ebyo byokugamba by the way crime rates nazo zeeyongera. This is how it works. It works indirectly. Now this is why it is important to see it in like the full picture of it. There is someone probably omugaga ina tugeze tax agitate kukubo n'agiwa omuntu agivuge. Chances are that that guy is probably going to be getting 20,000 out of that taxi every day. Now,
mugaga kugambye lunaku njagala
ebijjange jangeji tewali kuteesa. Kati waliwo omuvuzi wa taxi agenda okugamba nti you see I cannot be driving this taxi because I'm not getting anything. Abantu tebalina sente amafuta ga bbeeyi n'agiparkinga. Now bw'agiparkinga conductor n'oyo omuvuzi wa taxi, chances are that if they can't find what to eat, possibilities are that they are going to crime rates is going to kweyongera because people are going to find other means of getting
okufuna
what to eat.
sente afunya atya sente
Yes.
yensonga
So you realize that
ojja kwesanga nti saawa zino n'ebisale by'entambula biri waggulu
Aha.
omuntu ayagala okugenda bw'obanga ongambye nti omuntu agenda ekitolo wa mitwalo 12 agenze bugenzi
uka
agenze bugenzi talina kyaguliddeko
Emitwalo
tobanguse
21
emitwalo 21 ojjononedde mu transport naye ate neze ogenda okukozesaayo otuuseeyo abantu obatwalidde ku bintu oba oli awo nezo spending awaawo waliwo bano abantu abajja okugunda afudde Kampala ne bajja okulabako
So I think can I say agenda? I think generally what we should also look about is that if the increase, okay, you'll see fuel prices is going to kweyongera and then crime rates is yongeri, but you will not see it straight up because it's a chain. It's a causation chain. One thing causes another, another causes another, and another causes another. And the government obviously doesn't want crime rates to increase because then people are going to lose their lives, they're going to lose their properties, and it is the role of the government also to keep people, the force probably to keep security.
Abantu abafuna zirono balya zirono dala bantu amaka bagatwala ng'ogalaba bwoti abaana bagenda kuddamu kusoma naye olw'ensonga nti ekigenda maaso mu ggwanga oba oli awo kyekiviiriddeko kino because amafuta bwe galinnya ebiseera ebisinga kikoseza ddala kaŋŋamba ebitundu nga 8 ku buli 10 should I say that? Everything kibe buli kimu kubanga amafuta gakola omulimu munene nnyo oba oli awo abamu kye batamanyi.
So I think it's important that generally government should regulate, think about regulating those economies. And the other, now the challenge we have for regulation, Council in okwewola 96 million euros the badu bagala okwewola ne bagamba ezo sente bagala zinoonya internally from people of course and commercial banks. Now Dr. West yesterday was mentioning that our GDP, the money we need budget for a year is about $49 trillion. I mean, Uganda shillings, 49 trillion. But our tax base can only produce 20 trillion. So where do we get the 29? Kwewola. Now, there's also, now it means, because now if they are saying they are looking for money from the domestic commercial banks, it so much means that commercial banks because central bank regulating a commercial banks and interest rates, do you think they will even be able to regulate them now that they are the ones who are borrowing from the commercial banks?
I don't.
Is that going to be possible? So before you know it, interest rates because central bank can no longer regulate those interest rates, and that means people. The commercial banks are now at liberty to put interest as high as they want. In the process, abantu bonna abali bafunye loan mu government, from those banks, are unable to pay those loans. Now people are going to be losing their properties and all.
People are going to be losing their properties. Ate n'abantu abagenda okuddamu okutereka mu banks bagenda kendera and kigenda kukwata ekituyamba in one way or the other because raising that amount of money, it's really a lot of money. Bw'oba n'agamba nti bagenda ziraising okuviira ddala mu bannayuganda ate nga abamu beewala n'okusasula emisolo egyo. So kigenda kukwata nakyo tekiyambi.
And the other problem is if people do not use banks, chances are the saving culture also goes down. Kitegeza abantu abasinga bajja kuba bakola mmere ya leero.
Oli akola abantu bakola mmere ya leero zakola ozaalya.
Growth becomes impossible. You are in the same loop. You are in the same place forever. You earn your 1 million, you eat your 1 million. Every day comes and it goes and it comes. Ojiria. Omwezi guno zofunye zezo ogujja
tunalaba ebinaddirira.
So which is a bad thing. That does not grow the people themselves. It doesn't grow the national GDP. It doesn't grow the economy of the country.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you realize that it all goes back to the government. That as much as you're doing and prioritizing certain issues, the economy state is so paramount. And it's a determinant of everything. If people cannot stand independently and sustain themselves, the economy is going to crumble. And it is the government that's going
actually,
to
bw'oyogedde ku kya economy n'enzukira IG bwe yali avaayo okwogera ku bantu abali enguzi. Omukulembeze w'eggwanga n'avaayo n'amutegeeza nti bano bagirya tetukiganye naye bagende kompola kuba ssente zino
bazikuumira nini.
Kati ne weebuuza enguzi enaakoma ddi? tunagirwanyisa tutya nga ate omukulembeze w'eggwanga yakulemberemu yali anti-corruption walk, I think it was 2019. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2019. Okulaba engeri gye balwanyisaamu obuli bw'enguzi. Naye ate bw'abanga omukulembeze w'eggwanga yennyini yabikkirira ku bano abajirya, because IGG bw'abanga akoze okunoonyereza kwe n'ategeeza nti abantu bano wammanga kikakasiddwa nti be bakulembedde obuli bw'enguzi mu ggwanga lya Uganda, n'avaayo n'amenya n'amanya, and then omukulembeze w'eggwanga n'avaayo n'ategeeza abo bagendeko mpola, ensonga zikwate mpola mpola, bano bwe babanga bali enguzi bazza mu ggwanga lya Uganda. Kyongera okweraliikiriza, you would really wonder, and kiddayo nawali ku ngeri abantu gye bakolamu emirimu, because IGG bw'abanga akoze okunoonyereza n'ategeeza nti abantu bano wammanga be bali enguzi, and the president comes out n'amugamba nti bano baleke, kyongera okunafuya office ye, kyongera okunafuya engeri gy'akolamu emirimu gye n'abantu obwesige because IGG ona abadde atulaze nti okay, bwe nayingira office nina okulaba nga nkola, because mu bbanga lyabadde amazeeyo abadde tanaweza na mwaka mulamba, naye ng'alina kyakozeko kyetulabyeko. Naye ate bwe kiba nti kyakozeko ne tukirabako omukulembeze w'eggwanga oba oli awo avuddeyo n'ategeeza nti ensonga eno mugireke. That means agenda kutuula wabbali agamba ndaba ne bwe nnakola bwe nti omukulembeze w'eggwanga agenda kuvaayo agambe abantu bange baleke oba ensonga eno gireke.
That also goes to institutional independence, that we have institutions in place who
but
cannot
they are not independent. Actually, the people are in, naye tebalina buyinza.
Tebalina.
Bawebwe before, they are just occupying the positions.
And that is it.
Yes. And then that actually is not. It's not progressive. Practice.
It's not progressive. No, omukyale yavaamu from the same office. Irene Mulyagonja.
Yeah.
Had also mentioned that the fact that every time I do some investigations, usually the corruption scandals go back around to the people, the big shots, which is the same people.
And the big shots nebekweke omukulembeze w'eggwanga, yes.
And then the mukulembeze comes publicly and says, you see, go through these people.
Kati banebuuza, why did he lead the anti-corruption walk nga abali b'enguzi tayagala babakwateko? That is actually that is the question I have nze ng'omuntu. Lwaki yakulemberamu this anti-corruption walk nga tayagala bantu bano bakwatibeko? Yali badde akireka because ne bwe yali ayingira, sorry, ne bwe bali mu kulonda speaker wa parliament, era ensonga gyayogerako tugenda kulwanyisa enguzi. So the question is, tunalwanyisa tutya enguzi ng'ate gwe yateekawo offices okuba nti zikola ku nsonga zino, gwe kennyini gwavaayo n'ogaa nti abakikola mubaleke.
And do you know the gravity coming from the fountain of honor, coming from the president? Do you know what it means? The president standing publicly and saying, look, you go slow on the corrupt officials. How does that make the office of the president look? We have a country that is corrupt, really corrupt. I was reading some book by some Chinese author, I think Yuan Ang. It's called China's Gilded Age. They broke down the types of corruption and all that. Going from petty thefts, there's one called speed money, which is paying, for basic services, going around protocol against Mudwaliro, no sasura, or Sari Karaini, go gende maso. And then there's grand theft, government taking that chunk, the sacks of money away from the government. And then when you have that happening in an economy that is already crumbling, and then you have a head of state saying that, you see, those people, we are still lucky that they are keeping their money here. How it doesn't grow us any further. Because Dubai, this how they did their economy getting back. Because generally for them, they would be housing thieves. Most of those European countries, someone would thug something so big, you come here, we can only protect you if you keep your money here. That is what by the way, their growth is basically a part of that. That someone is going to be, of course, those senior thieves, again, if they are going to like thug a department, an institution in a government, in a certain government, somewhere in Europe, and they will come, of course, to Dubai is a center of luxury. You come, they want to spend their money, and they will say, we can protect you. That is if the government as long as that money is kept here. Unless that is what Museveni is trying to promote.
I think aboliawo kyalabika kyagezaako okuba nga promoting nga ye abaffe omukyalo omu tebambuwa ministry ate nga waliwo ssente ze yali yabulankanya
ate
n'ategeeza
gye muwe.
nkomezaawo ko ezimu zino zibwe ziri endala mu nsonyiwe
Nsonyiwe.
ne bamuwa ministry. You can imagine kiraga nti ebintu ng'ebyo tebigenda kukoma. Minisita Jim Muhwezi saawa zino minisita mulamba okiwulidde naye ng'ate eggwanga erina okukulaakulana eggwanga erina enfuga ya demokrasiya oba oli awo bino ebintu nga bino tebyali byadde tebibaawo tumwogerako tumwogerako tukyogera nti
naye gyali
mwami omu yagamba democracy works kati awo.
Democracy works, that is right. But do we actually have democracy? If anything, last time when he was being inaugurated, President Museveni said the last thing he needs is lectures from Western countries on how we should democratically govern his country. So it so much means that he understands what democracy is. So which is wrong, generally. The economies don't grow because an individual is working. Even if he's working so hard, let's say even sometimes some other people are the ones who are corrupt and the president is not.
You can actually imagine okuba nti tulina IGG, tulina anti-corruption court, tulina ne state anti-corruption unit kulembera kano Edith Nakalema. Naye ogenza okwesanga nti obuli bw'enguzi bukyaliwo mu ggwanga erya Uganda. We've always been asking ourselves lwaki bukyaliwo, but right now we know the reason as to why obuli bw'enguzi bukyaliwo, because bwe babanga abakikola basoosowazibwa batwalibwa nti ate kati mwe muli baana nnyo n'okusinga bano abantu abalala. Kikyongera okulaga nti mu ggwanga erya Uganda ensonga y'okulwanyisa enguzi erabika nga si nsonga yakolwako kati oba terikolwako for as long as ebintu ebimu tebikyuseemu.
Which is, you see, economy is, the country doesn't grow because only one individual is hardworking. It's institutions. It's providing resources for institutions, letting them do the work as they should. But also institutions, tezija kola. If the fountain of honor, those who should be doing the checks and balances are the ones that are actually antagonizing the work of those institutions. So, oberao, you are heading a ministry, a certain department, but they don't feel the urge, they don't think accountability is that important, because at the end of the day, the president himself doesn't care anyway. If I take the money, as long as I don't take it out.
Mu COVID-19 eyasooka bannayuganda ne beebuuza sente zino zaalagawa. Ambulances ezaaweebwayo nalaba omwami omu omusawo omu nga agamba ambulances ezaaweebwayo zaali ziweereddwa malwaliro naye kati ssaawa zino zivugibwa bwa RDC.
Ye ambulance wazivuga batya nze nga sikitegedde.
Ambulance zaali za double cabin. Rogers. Ambulance za double cabin.
Ate newonyeza ambulance omusajja agivuga atya.
Zaawe baba RDC ssaawa zino kati be bazivuga. Okiwulidde ambulance zaali zaaweebwa malwaliro naye ate ssaawa zino ziba nga zaava mu malwaliro nzigende waba RDC nga be bazivuga. You really wonder.
And yesterday Dr. Besigye was actually mentioning on ensonga ya the way we are fighting. And the money, of course, overspending on irrelevant things. He mentioned that mu first lockdown, centers that were all for COVID-19, for fighting COVID-19, that whole amount almost went to State House. Now, he mentioned that State House is supposed to be the president's home. It's not an office of the president, because an office of the president has its own budget from the national coffers, for the national treasury. So, State House, being a standalone and being just the home of the president, consumed about 1 trillion Uganda shillings. He also tried to break it down, which I should also try to do. Nagab, 1 trillion shillings is 1,000 billions. 1,000 billions, I mean 1 billion is 1,000 millions. Now, we have an everyday person who is out there who doesn't know what is really, that much of what is going on, how much this money is, whether they even know that money should be catering for their basic services that they need, have some decent, housing, have some water clean, and some of those basic resources. Does that go back to the parliament, to the government and the leader of this country, that the people are actually a priority if only a home of the president can consume 1 trillion? Just a home. Kubange wako kozesa ki? it's just you.
Omwezi same tokozesa na tokozesa na kakadde.
Never kwesa kakadde, never kwesa. Even if you use 30 million, even if you use 100 million, a trillion.
That's a lot of
money. A
1
trillion shillings, you know what that means? So I think what we should also need to look at, we have oversaid the word patriotism, and I don't even know if people understand what that means actually. But I think we should have leaders who are putting ahead and first the interests of the people, and also leaders who know that they are servants, not bosses. Whatever, now you approach a certain leader, you're asking them for accountability. Someone will say, "Who are you to ask me?
I'm a journalist."
Even if you're not a journalist, it's a common person. They have the reason to ask you because you are a representative of them in the National Assembly. The National Assembly is that place where they converge those issues that are affecting the people from the ground, and these are only representatives to make sure that those issues get to the responsible implementers of their needs. Now, if I come up to a leader and ask you how much is being spent on this and that, when our issue is going to be addressed, and you tell me, Gumbuzangani, are you a servant of the people?
You're not.
So, where are we going from this?
You're not serving the people.
And how is that how it's supposed to be? Now that is where it goes back to also the president Okugamba about democracy. He mentioned himself that I am not a servant of anyone. I only serve my family, which I have a mandate to. But we also have a constitution that provides for the office of the president. I'm actually answerable
to my family.
To my family. We have a constitution. The constitution establishes the office of the president.
Do we even follow the constitution of late?
Shouldn't we? We don't. Yes, that's the thing. So the idea is, the reason we are here is to tell you that yes, look, we don't follow the constitution, but we should be following the constitution.
Actually, sawa zino nzingamba nti ne constitution tekyalina maanyi ndozo nga yalina emyaka nga 10 emabega. Because constitution eno yakolebwa mu 1995 yaggyibwako engalo because yali yatandika okukolebwako emyaka ndoza ng'ena before 1995 kusinziira ku mukyalo omu bwe yatunnyonnyola. Naye bwebanga constitution eyo yakolebwa nga tugiraba nti ina amaanyi ng'erina ebintu byegenda okuprotectinga maaso eyo oba erina ebintu byegenda okutuyambako nga saawa zino constitution bakatwalanga just akatabo akali awo kojjosomamu noga nti article namba gundi egamba bweti tuba article namba gundi egamba bweti ne bweti ne bweti naye nga article eyo kyegamba tekiteeke nga saawa zino tekyabelonginga to the people. You really wonder that constitution yakyusibwa oba yaggyibwawo, something like that.
We were talking of the constitution and whether it works. Not constitution alone, of course, all the laws altogether, if they are even working at all. You so openly, you know, even the church leaders mentioned that. Now, from that, I had some thing I came across. It's more like a history. The 17th president of Liberia, he was called Charles King. In 1927, he won elections with 234,000 votes in a country with 15,000 registered voters. Gwanga lyalina abantu registered voters omutwalo gumu enkumi ttaano. Yawangula obululu n'emitwalo 23,000
So ne weebuuza obulala bwavaawa.
It is listed in, that thing is listed in the 1982 Guinness Book of Records for the most fraudulent election reported in history. I came across that thing and it was so interesting. One day, tugenda appearing in Guinness World Book of Records. Because man, we are no longer shameful. Even
because ebanga abaana lye bamaze ewaka so far gwali mwezi gwa kumeka wetwali tubala weeks 7 mu 7 bukyanga abaana mu Uganda balekera okusoma naffe tukulembedde kugamba kiraga nti tunaatera tubulako ndowooza ebigere bitono nnyo
but Lilian, we should be living here. One, if it were to tell anytime soon Uganda is going to get that into the book of doing something wrong, we should.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.